We're on YouTube, Sean.
We are indeed on YouTube, guys, and thank you for watching our video wherever you've come from, guys, alright? Let me know in the comments where you're coming from, what platform you're coming from, or maybe you've just found us hurling around cyberspace at a crazy amount of time, and I hope you guys are going to stay. Hopefully you listen to what I'm going to say and not just look at my fantastic hair. This is the second time we've tried this video because we're just starting out. The first time I made a total hash of it. It was my fault, not Sarah's. Sarah is brilliant and fantastic and she does not make mistakes. So what we're going to talk about today, guys, we're going to talk about Russian space nukes, which is all over the papers. We're going to talk about US senators, how they're, how they've changed their attitude towards the UK. We're going to talk about how the UK is going to have to step up to be the to provide the nuclear shield as part of NATO. And we're also going to talk about, go a little bit of a deep dive into Ukrainian assets that have been frozen in Europe. So guys, don't forget to like and comment and subscribe to this video if you've not done already. Obviously, we're just starting. This is video 001 and we're happy that you're with us on this journey. So let's get into it. So, all over the TV, all over the media, Russian space nukes. People are saying that they're being deployed to take out Russian Elon Musk's Starlink satellites. Now, for those of you who don't know, I'll tell you the significance of that. In 2017, around about 2017, maybe before, governments around the world were looking at how to have another communication system rather than the big, clunky military communication systems that the satellites are. So what they decided is that rather than have these really big satellites that are in geostationary orbit, that everybody knows where they are and one missile can take them out, they decided to go with a lot of little satellites that are a lot smaller, a lot easier to replace, and if you take one of these satellites out, it's not going to matter because you've got a lot more. So for the Russians to take out a full constellation of satellites like the Starlink satellite, it's going to be an absolutely epic task. They're going to have to put a lot of explosive power up in space, and that's going to start something called the Kessler syndrome, which is when basically bits of shrapnel that are then in orbiting the Earth, they hit other satellites and the whole grid goes down. So I don't see that as a credible as a use for this system. The Russians do want to get rid of the Starlink system because, Ukrainians, NATO forces are using Starlink to control UAVs, and then they're using them UAVs to use them as, whatever really. So that's the Starlink system, which I don't think the Russians are going to try and take out. But what I will say is the threat of space-based nuclear weapons is very real. It's not just the Russians who are thinking about this. I'm sure the Americans are thinking of probably, got something similar. If we're hearing about it in the news now, it's probably already happened. So what that means is that every 90 minutes, we probably have a nuclear weapon fly above our heads, pointing at us by a hostile actor. Crazy times we live in, guys, okay? US senators have been telling the UK diplomats to kiss my bum. I think that's the best way to put it. So what does that mean? We're on YouTube, but if you look at my other platforms, I've been saying a long time, guys, that there's going to be a divergence between the UK and the US. It's going to be a fake divergence because we love you guys in America. But it's going to be a fake divergence, and the US is going to focus its military efforts in the Middle East, and the UK is going to lead the efforts in Eastern Europe against the Russian threat. So as time progresses and we move forward, you're going to see this gap go bigger and bigger and bigger. And you'll see rhetoric on the news, the Americans have said this, the British have said this. And when Donald Trump's the president, Donald Trump said this. It's all going to be fake. It's all smoke and mirrors. It's all so we can identify Americans fighting in the Middle East, Brits fighting, and NATO fighting in Eastern Europe. Which is a good segue into the next article I want to cover, which is the UK is to contribute to the nuclear shield if the US pulls out of any nuclear treaties. Now, I don't know the ins and outs of this, but what I do know is that the UK has a really competent nuclear deterrent in submarines, and these submarines can be anywhere in the world, obviously underwater. They can't be on the land. Anywhere in the oceans, in the seas, they can get anywhere, and they have a huge amount of firepower, and they can launch those missiles globally. So the UK essentially can fill that gap for NATO, that nuclear umbrella that protects everyone. And what I want to talk about finally, guys, what time are we on, Sarah? How long are we going for? Tell me.
Over 5 minutes.
Over 5 minutes. I want to keep this short, guys, because your time is important. So the frozen assets in Ukraine, I'm going to break this down really quick to you guys. There's $300 billion in Russian money that's been frozen in Europe. What they're talking about is giving that money to the Ukrainians to rebuild, to rearm, to spend as they see fit. If this happens, be under no illusion, this will be, and nobody's talking about this, this will be the final red line for the Russians, because I think, and I'm pretty confident in saying, that the money that's been frozen is one of the only reasons why Putin doesn't want to push forwards and why he doesn't want to unleash the full might of his military and his military-industrial complex. Once this money gets frozen, two things are going to happen. First of all, the Russian oligarchs, they're going to be sat there going, okay, Vladimir, my money is gone, destroy the Westerners, all right? And Vladimir's just going to go, he's just going to say, right, we're going to open up the floodgates. What it's also going to do, more importantly, it's going to, the other countries who have assets in US dollars, they're going to start thinking, okay, well, if we upset the Americans, they're just going to take our dollars. So it's part of this de-dollarization, and that becomes very scary, because once de-dollarization starts, the the Fed basically will have to print more and more money to keep up with this, to fund this war. Because at that point, the only security that the US will have, if it loses trust, will be its military might. So then it will have to win this war. It will have to show it's the strongest, it's the most dominant force on the world. And that's why giving this, unfreezing this asset, this money that's in assets, and giving it to the Ukrainians, although it's a brilliant thing and we should support the Ukrainians, it could be absolutely catastrophic for everyone. Guys, I've left it there. If you want me to go longer, if you want me to go deeper, don't forget to tell me in the comments. If you've not done so already, add me, subscribe. Don't forget, guys, we've got another platform that's got, that's going to be our main platform. We put things where me and Sarah are just goofing about all day. This platform, we're going to keep it a little bit more serious. We're going to be a little bit more deep. We're going to go say things that are a little bit more controversial that we can't on the other platform. Guys, thank you for watching and have a great day.